Bruno, how are you? How have you been?
I've been well, Victoria. Thank you.
Good. And your project has evolved and changed a bit, hasn't it? It's evolved a lot and changed a bit,
Yes,
to say the
Gregory-MS
least.
is changing a lot lately.
Yes. And so tell us about your project. Eh, my audience is rather small, but it's in Latin America and
hmm
Spain and some in the States.
hmm
But how did you come up with a project?
Well, I first began Gregory-MS after my diagnosis with multiple sclerosis
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to keep up with what was the cutting edge in terms of clinical research and new medications for us. A friend of mine saw what I was doing, that I had automated the way that I would run searches across the different scientific journals.
Mm-hmm.
This friend works with artificial intelligence for a long time, and he suggested that I should use some machine learning models to help identify the articles that were relevant to me faster. He
Okay.
helped me implement the first version, and it grew into what is now the Gregory-MS.com project, which was just focused on multiple sclerosis, and that grew to include also alerts for clinical trials so that everybody could stay up to date with what was the most recent research being conducted.
Okay, interesting. So tell us, how does a Gregory AI help us all? It's been evolving into the Brain Project, and
Yes,
you were concentrated on 3 areas before. Now it's just two, and it became the Brain Project, which I guess is the umbrella for everything.
yes, because people started asking several times if Gregory could be used for other conditions. Specifically, I was asked about Alzheimer's because my friend, her mother has Alzheimer's. And she asked if it could be applied. And I said, well, yes, eventually it can be, because the system can adapt to any condition.
Okay.
And from my research, I noticed that a lot of papers coming out sometimes touched base with other diseases, like Parkinson's and like Alzheimer's as well. So
Because it's all centered in the brain, I guess.
Yes. And everybody agrees that the unmet need for multiple sclerosis right now is the repairing of the damage caused by the immune system. That's why I decided might as well level up and try to include different conditions and different research areas. So for clinical trials, we're now tracking both MS and Alzheimer's. And for research areas, I started reaching out to different laboratories, asking if they would be interested in being the curators of the searches that we conduct on the system, because they know which are the keywords that really matter, and these people are actually trying to find ways to make the brain repair itself, either by reprogramming the cells or by interacting with the immune system to nurture that repair.
That's great.
So now we have 3 different cities involved: Coimbra, Lisbon, and Cambridge.
That's
and they've
great.
been guiding the research for new papers that might be relevant for those researching the repairing of the brain.
And what about, how are you looking to have other groups join you, through us, the ambassadors, or through other research groups? Like Harvard University has a large MS group, as well as, let's say, in the States, there are some very large hospitals involved in MS research and all this. Are you looking to take it to the States, or do you want to increase it just in Europe?
We want to expand for
everywhere.
any place. Yes.
That would, okay.
Because the whole point is there's a fragmentation between the science community, where the researchers around MS speak with each other, but not with different areas. The researchers for Alzheimer's do the same. And we need to start breaking those silos and building bridges between the different research groups. That's why this new project is all about creating a common place where they can exchange what's important for them and even spotlight the most relevant research in their designated areas.
It sounds a very good focus, at least from my perspective as a patient. And yes, I've noticed a lot of differences during the years between the research and the applications in the United States and in Europe in general, especially in the UK, which has a very forward-looking project, or used to be.
To be honest, I am not fully aware of the different projects that are out there. I try to be as alert as I can, but I just can't touch base with everything.
No, that makes sense. You have yours, and I guess everyone is very closed in their projects because it's a lot of work.
Yes, which is why I would like, as soon as the site is starting to move on its own, we will of course be looking into including more research groups into the project.
That would be wonderful. And tell us something, as a patient yourself, the idea of this project for other patients like me and other people that might be interested, like my followers, what use would it be for them?
Well, for now, it's already a good resource to keep track of new clinical trials, because as soon as they are updated or published, Gregory sends an email to everyone. That's step one. Step two, we are going to be adding to the new project a section for the relevant papers around MS and the different medications. So let's say that someone is being treated with ocrelizumab. They can keep track of the research that's being published for that specific medication, and it may help them to have a more one-on-one conversation with their neurologist, because doctors right now, they don't have enough resources to keep track of everything that's being published. Of course, there are hundreds per day. Sometimes every 2 days I get an email from Gregory with stuff to review, and sometimes it's like 100 papers being published in just 48 hours. It's impossible to keep track of everything. That's why we need the machine learning algorithms that rank these results and give us, okay, this is the top 10 of the 100 that were posted in the last 48 hours. We validate, and then everyone can receive an email with those new trials or new papers that were published.
Okay. And what about the new trials that are being published and they're looking for people? Would it be practical, or is there a way for these people to contact the trial, even though we might be in Latin America? But if there is any interest and they manage to talk to their doctor about these trials,
Gregory is monitoring the 3 major registries for clinical trials. The one for the World Health Organization, the European one, and clinicaltrials.gov in the United States. So as soon as a trial is published and looking to recruit, we send out an email to everyone. And in case the person lost track of their emails, they can go to the brain regeneration site. They have the same list of clinical trials, and they can sort them by the most recent or the one that was updated recently.
Okay, that sounds very interesting for all the readers, at least my readers. I have some Some people that would be very interested in joining the trials.
In that case, our system can help because we check the registries once per day, and we send an email every 6 hours if there are any new results.
Yes.
And it's completely free. Anyone can just sign up and receive the alerts for free.
Okay, that's wonderful. And one other question, I have noticed a lot of the research papers, you do have a lot of research papers based in Asia. A lot of Orientals. Do you have anyone or any center that you have as a center that works with you as well?
That's a good observation. And no, I don't have a center in Asia that is guiding us, but it would be a nice addition, because lately I have been noticing, like you just said, there's some good research coming out that has some promise for people with MS. For example, some of the research identified an old medicine called dihydroartemisinin.
Yes.
That seems to be able to penetrate the blood-brain barrier and not just bring down the inflammation inside the brain, but also switch the microglia from an attack state into a reparative state. And given that it was a medication previously used for malaria, it is already partially safe for humans. We don't know which doses could be useful in MS. That requires more research. And of course, doctors still can prescribe this medication because it's been discontinued because the World Health Organization requested it to be removed since it was creating some resistance in malaria. However, it is there, it is out there. We know how to make it. So it makes sense to start asking the question, is this in fact something that shows promise, or is just another false promise?
So at least it's something to look into for the doctors, for doing other medical testing or engineering, to put it somehow, for the medicine. But that's not up to me or you.
Not me,
your site. But it makes sense. And I think that's what's so wonderful about the site. I mean, for doctors, it has a use, and for patients, it has a use. And I hope it gives you much more. It gives us much more insight into the types of diseases that your site is working with.
Yes. And not just the diseases, I think it can be useful for us to have a different conversation with the doctors.
That's true.
Because like I said before, sometimes they're too focused on their own fields. And one thing that we as patients can do, since we have more time and more skin in the game, is to look at the research, filter what's relevant for us, and then go to the doctors and ask, listen, this is what's being published. Does it make sense for me or not?
Yes.
And then they can help us translate the research into plain English, or in our case, plain Spanish or plain Portuguese.
Exactly. Yes, it would make better sense. But you have a center there that's working with you from the start, right? Or two?
There is
or
a
your
center for MS in
collaborators.
Lisbon.
Yes.
But so far they're not engaged with the new project. The door is open, of course, but not at the moment.
And you have the collaborators you have are doctors, some of them, that I've seen at least. Researchers.
Yes.
Okay.
In Cambridge, we have Professor Luca Perosotti Giametti.
Yes.
In Coimbra, we have Professor Lino Ferreira.
Yes.
Who is trying to research how we can reprogram the brain to repair itself.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Fantastic, really.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
And here in Lisbon, we have Professor Adelaide Fernandes, who manages the Central Nervous System, Blood and Peripheral Inflammation Laboratory, who is also on board trying to give us some guidance on that specific field.
I think that's wonderful. And I hope you have, as we say in Spanish, muchos éxitos. I don't know how that sounds in Portuguese, but I hope you're very successful. Close. It's pretty close. I thought there was something in there, but I hope that all your hard work will have a lot of fruit, very good fruit for all of us patients of all the different diseases that might be involved.
Yeah, I think it's not about generating fruits, it's about creating a space where people from the different areas can come together and help surface innovation.
I think that's wonderful that a space was created, because I think many people in different areas have been looking for that space. They just haven't found it yet. And I hope this is the beginning of their coming together to say it somehow. And because yes, there is a project. I don't know if I think it's in England and in the States that gets researchers to get together through MS International Federation. I don't know if you've heard about it. I'm sure you have.
I have heard about them, and I did try to reach out, not to them specifically, but to several institutions that are working with MS. The problem is that most of the times it's only me in the project, and all I can do is send emails. Sometimes emails get lost, and sometimes the person doesn't see them. So it happens that my success rate is not very high.
I hope to talk to you, to keep up the conversation, because this is a project that is in the interest of all of us, I think. When I first saw it, when my coworker showed it to me, I thought, this is wonderful. This is what I've been expecting since I was what I was hoping for since I was diagnosed, and that's a while ago. And thank you very much for bringing this.
Yes, me too.
Into creation. Yeah.
We're all in the same boat.
I'm sure.
What I did was just, when I have a problem, I try to solve it in a way that I can replicate so that others can benefit. This just happens to be a very bigger problem than anything else that I ever faced. And so the solution had to be not just
even bigger. Yes.
But also easier to share.
And thank you very much for sharing it with all of us. I think I can speak for everyone that this is a wonderful beginning to a future collaboration between different centers, I hope.
Me too. And given that it's starting, the project still can switch by adding more features or by including different areas that we weren't expecting. There's a lot of flexibility. We just need to find the people that are interested in making a change.
That's wonderful. And I hope we will find them, or you will find them. Or
it has to be a group effort.
We will give us all a lot to think about, and hopefully to share.
Yes, I hope so too.
And I look forward to seeing you.
What I can divulge right now is that we plan to make the current brain-regeneration.com website to have all the features that we see on Gregory, on the Gregory-MS project.
Perfect.
And if we get enough traction, then we can even discontinue the first project so that this one can be a bigger one and reach more people. It really depends on the resources that we have in terms of time and the number of people interested in seeing this new project go forward.
That sounds wonderful. And I wish you the best luck and cooperation from everyone, to say the least, going forward.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you very much, Bruno.